Everybody, welcome to Simply Cards by Kathy. And today is June 3rd. It is Tuesday, 2025. I'm excited to be here with you today. We are going to be using the Extraordinary Flora Bundle. I'm going to show you some easy, card making techniques. I'm going to show you 4 different ways to use that bundle. And also, there's washi tape that goes with that bundle. Hi, Diane. Thanks for joining. So, easy cards, but some creative ways to use this. I think this is one of my favorite stamps and dies or bundles from the new catalog. Um, there's just ways that you can come up to use it. There's more than what I'm going to show you tonight, and we'll explore some more of those. So, I am going to flip the camera down and we're going to get started. Okay, today I just want to show you quickly where you can find all this. So this is in the annual catalog on page 84 and 85. It does come as a photopolymer stamp set in dies, and I want to show you that. This is pretty different, and I already have mine in my MISTI, but it's one stamp that stamps several images. And then there is a die that actually cuts all these images out. That die also cuts out the images in the washi tape. So I'm going to show you how to use those. But then as I played with this is a great die to make your own designer series paper. So we're going to go over all that as we get started. The die is one, just like the stamp set is. You do have some greetings in here. I'm going to show you, we're going to make one card with one of the techniques, but we're going to go through each of these ways to use this. And then I have cards for each of those ways to show you and kind of tell you what I did. So let's start with the stamp set. So I'm using my MISTI, and I thought, what a great way to either color this and then die cut it out, or make my own designer series paper. So we're going to do this, and you'll see how it works both ways. Now, I do have a piece of basic white here, and I want to make sure I have a big enough piece. Here we go. So I'm going to put this in here, and I am going to tack it down with my magnet. Now, this, make sure that you have it set when you're starting. If you have the Stamparatus, use that. That's great for this. If you're good at lining up photopolymer stamps to restamp in case you want a little bit darker lines, you can do that too. I'm using Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I am going to ink this up. And what I love about using a stamping tool is that if I don't get everything stamped either dark enough or stamped hitting all the images, I can go back over it. Now, I'm just using, it's called a Chucky, and you can get these, Amazon, Etsy, wherever. But it helps me to add some extra pressure or even pressure to this. And I'm going to re-ink this, and we're going to add a little bit more. Hi, Mary and Cutie Puppies and Linda. Thank you so much for joining. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope you had some nice weather. I am going to come back down here. All right, I think we're good. So let's cover this up. Because today I've had 2 white shirts on and dropped this ink pad against myself with both white shirts. You'd have thought I'd have learned, and I went and put on another white shirt. So, hi, Elizabeth. So here's this image. So this stamp ends up being about 3 1/8 to 3 1/4 inches by about 5 1/2, if I remember. Yep. So almost perfect for some designer series paper. So let's just grab in some colors here. And I'm not going to color the whole thing. So stay with me. But I do want to show you a little bit of what you can do. So I grabbed a bunch of colors. I'm going to start off with some peach pie dark. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of coloring. Just so when I lay the die down, you're going to be able to see some color of how it's going to cut out. So these color up quickly. I'm not being super particular in coloring them. One of the things I do like to do when I'm using my Stampin' Blends is I like to mix colors. So for my leaves, which we're going to go to in a minute, I'm actually going to use Granny Apple Green with Lemon Lime Twist. So just kind of play around with your colors and your blends. And light-handed, I always recommend doing light-handed because you can always go back over, but you can't go back and take it away. So I'm going to use the dark Granny Apple Green on my leaves here. And I'm just going to come in real light-handed in just a couple at a time. Then I'm going to come in with my light lemon lime twist. And they're so close in color that you can get them mixed up. I have to look at what the colors are. But I like to mix my colors because it gives me a little bit more variety and colors to work with. And I think I get a little bit more depth to it too. So I'm watching to make sure you can see me. And let's do just a couple more. And then I'm just going to do some of the small flowers. How many of you like to color or like to use the blends? I love coloring. To me, it's very relaxing. I could sit and color all night. Hi, Jeanette. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Elizabeth from Scotland. Thank you for joining. So I didn't do that one so well. So when I am using my blends, I use very light, kind of like wispy. And then I go back through with my light and I kind of move into the dark. I go from the opposite end almost most of the time. So let's stop with that one. And then let's do just one more so that you can see when you have something to look at when I put that die down. If you have questions as we go along, please pop them in the chat. I promise to look up and try to answer them for you. And then I'm going to grab one more. I'm using my Lost Lagoon and just coming in. And let's come in a little bit with the light. And again, I go back from the opposite end to blend. All right. Let's stop there. So when you get this stamped and you get it all colored in, you take your die, and this fits right over this. And it just, I find it fits really well on the washi tape and on this, but I find for the stamped image, if I start at one end, doesn't matter what end, and then line it up across the top, it will fall right into the place um, to be able to tack it down and cut it out. So when you do cut it out, you're going to come up with all these little images, stamped images that you can use to decorate and come up with your focal point for your cards. So, which I love. I cut these out. I've done a couple of these over the weekend, cut them out, and then I put them in like a baggie and I keep them in with my dies so that when I go to use it, I can see what I have and they're ready to go. So a great way to use that. So let me show you. We're going to do that card. So let's do a card with these. This is the one card I have that I did not do. So we're going to use these easy cards. I've Lemon Lolly, my card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. Now, please don't worry. I do have a downloadable PDF for you that will have each of these cards with measurements and supplies. And that will be up by Thursday, simply because I have card class here at home tomorrow with people, and it's going to be a busy day. So I'm using black on all my cards tonight, just for that pop effect. So I'm layering with a 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to hang on to that before we layer. And then I took a 3 3/4 by 5 of basic white and I embossed it. Now I am using these new online embossing folders that came out back in, I believe it was May. And these are called Glass and Gardens embossing folders. And they are smaller, but I love them. And all you do is put them in, and I've used these on every card I have. So this one, I simply went like kind of down the middle, and because I wanted just to have it part of a focal point. But on one of the other cards, I want to show you, you'll see what I did. If you ever want to stamp emboss with these smaller ones, what you can do is, and I did this on a couple, is I lined this up along the line. That's my straight edge. It kind of shows me where things are. And then I go ahead and I emboss one side. I then flip it around and emboss the other side. And I did that, and I'll show you that on one of the cards as we go along. So there are ways to actually cover a bigger piece of cardstock. But this one, I just wanted some blank space and like a focal point in the middle. So let's go ahead and add this one. Now, I picked random colors. When we get to the washi tape, you'll see the colors that are on there. You could actually recreate that with the stamp. But we're going to go ahead and add this right here. And let's add this to our card base. Mary, I love black too, either as a base or even a layer. I think it just pops. I found in the last year and a half, I've been using it more, and I've been stamping for 35 plus years. But I guess think our tastes change. Now I have the nested essentials. I cut two of the little rectangles from here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and stamp a greeting. Now I'm using a greeting from Simply Said. What am I using? I'm using the Thinking of You. So I'm going to just go ahead and stamp that on here. And we'll ink it up with our black ink and see if I can flip it on me again today. All right. And let's go ahead and add this here. Okay. So I'm going to add this to my mat, and then we're going to pop that on our card. And we're going to use these little die cuts from this extraordinary Flora to just add like a nice simple focal point. So let's grab some dimensionals. So and we're going to add this right pretty much in the middle. And I'm just going to go, I'm not going to go, I'm going to go right in the middle and let that embossed area be in the center of the card. Now you have all these parts to work with. So I'm going to take a couple of these here and we're going to add them right onto, we've got some yellow. I like the purple. Let's go with the purple. And I'm going to add them right onto the mat in the greeting. Now, because that's going to raise it up, I'm only going to add dimensionals to the parts of the die cut that are going to actually go down on the card. So I'm going to bring in some mini dimensionals here. And then you can add a dab of glue on the back of the flower. If that'll make you feel better about holding this down. You can use a glue dot, and or you can just use your dimensionals, and it most often will stay in place. But I am going to add just a dot of glue. And let's go ahead and add that right there. Okay. Now, we've got lots of flowers here. Let's add another little yellow one here. Or maybe here. I got lots going on here. Let's add this back down here. I like the fresh freesia and the lemon lolly together. And then and maybe you might want to add another leaf. No, I think that's too much. I'm going to leave it with that and just add one little yellow flower here. And we'll put a little piece of one of the mini dimensionals on here. There we go. And then you can dress it up with some, I have some of these flower accents. These are gold and they're just gorgeous, real sparkly, lots of dimension and texture to them. And let's just add a few of those on here. So I'm going to take the small ones and I'm just going to add a little bit to the embossed area. And I'm going to put one down here. And then you'd finish up the inside of your card. So you have quite a bit to work with. And then when I'm done, I throw them in a little baggie. And like I said, I put them in with my dies. So one way um, to use that stamp with die cuts, with the die cut. Let's get rid of some of these so we have a little bit more room here. Elizabeth said, tips for the dimensionals. If you add a dab of glue, it gives you playtime to move it. Oh, good idea. That is a good tip. So let's move this out of the way. Now, remember we were using that to color. Now, when you get this all colored in, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have this whole piece where you've made your own designer series paper. So what I did was cut a 2-inch strip by 5 1/4, matted it on black. Maybe you die cut a circle, or you use or you cut a square and use that as a focal point. But it very easy. This was the card where I took the white and flipped it around with the embossing folder, and hopefully you can see it's embossed on both sides. And then I ran my center strip or strip to the left off and just matted it with black and added a greeting. So using that stamp set for coloring and die cutting or making your own designer series paper. So that's 2 of the cards. Now, the other thing is we're going to work with this washi tape. I have to be honest, I've never been a big fan of washi tape, but this is very different. I'm going to open this up so you can see it if you've not seen it yet. It is got 2 different patterns with colors, and it repeats itself. And these are about 5.5 inches long and about 3 1/4 inches wide. I'm going to put this back on, and it does roll back on very easily. And I'm going to show you how to use it. The more you use it, the easier it gets. Elizabeth loves this. Do you have this, Elizabeth, and have you used it? So I have a piece here that's about 3 1/4 by 6. And like I said, this runs about 5.5. You can use even wider. You could use as wide as you want, but you at least want 3 1/4. What I've done is I'm going to put this right up here for you to see and try to keep my hands out of the way as much as possible. I do not unroll the whole thing. I unroll enough to get it started. And I did not do that straight. So I'm going to lift it up. Now, I have found this easy to lift up, and I have been using it with basic white cardstock. There we go. Once I get it started, I start rolling it out, and I am lightly pressing down as I go. I'm just working it with my fingers. Now, I am going to tell you, you're going to get wrinkles. So take your time, and the more you work with it, the less you're going to get. And you have to be patient. So I'm going to add that down. And if you get a wrinkle, you can easily pull it back up. I have not torn it yet. And I seem to be having more trouble tonight than I have had since I started using it, but that's okay. It may be because I unrolled it ahead of time to show and then rolled it back onto the roll, which may have wrinkled it up. So let's see here. I'm going to try my Chucky. There we go. Now, if you do get some wrinkles, don't throw it out. Whatever you do, don't throw it out. So I'm going to trim this off here. I have found it easier to leave it on the roll, or you can trim it off and try it. Whatever's going to work best for you, and you'll figure that out. So I'm going to pull this back up again. Not what I was hoping to show you, but we'll get through it. And then you can actually smooth out your lines if you have any and flatten it out, and you won't, I mean, they disappear. So I'm just using my fingers, and then you can see it's actually quite smooth. So this then also uses these dies. And this is going to line up right like this, just like if you were stamping. I recommend tacking it down with the piece of low tack tape and then running it through your die machine. It cuts like any cardstock. You're going to use plates number 1, number 2, and 2 number 3 plates. And it cuts beautifully. And let me show you what you get. You're going to get all of these die cuts that, and you can see from the washi tape, you have the new Darling Ducky, the yellow and the strawberry slush in there. And then if you go further, let's go beyond. Oh, this one. This is the one we put down. You have some of the Calypso corals and fresh freesia and what else? The strawberry slush again. So of wide repetitive pattern, and I believe there's over 60 of these on one roll. Now, when you do this, you can also use this as your background. So when I put this down, I actually cut it down again to 2 inches by the 5, mounted it on basic white that again is embossed with that embossing folder. And then when I trimmed it, I had leftover to add a strip to the inside. So here I'm using it as my own designer series paper. When they're cut out, I did the same card as I did with the die cuts, but you have these great washi tape die cuts that actually have a little bit of a sheen to them. But because they're you have them on the basic white, they mount and they're quite sturdy and they mount very nicely. And these will hold up for you to store them and use them as you want to. So 4 easy ways or 4 ways to use the washi tape, whether it's die cut or as your designer series paper or your stamps using your stamp to just stamp and die cut as you normally would, or to stamp, color it, because it's such a close pattern that you can use it as designer series paper as well. So let me bring you back to me. Let's see. Diane's going to add this to her next order. You're right, Diane, before laminating machines. The Elizabeth purple is your favorite. I really love the purple colors and the blues and blue greens. It is one of my favorites too, but I think it's all beautiful. I really hope Stampin' Up! Comes out with some washi tape for the holidays. I don't know that they will. That's just what I was thinking in my head, but I hope they do. So I hope this gives you some easy card ideas, but some easy ideas of how to use the washi tape, not only for mounting it and die cutting, but using it as a background or a focal point for designer series paper. And the same with the stamp set. It's such a close, I want to say close knit, but we know it's not knit, but it's the images are so close together. It makes beautiful designer series paper. So I hope that you have a great week. Stay safe and well. I'm anxious to be back with you next Tuesday. And I will have this download available for you on Thursday morning. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It helps me grow my channel. Feel free to share it, and I'll see you soon.